What's up, guys? We're back. This second portion is called SEO mindset. We're going to understand some basic principles about SEO to understand, exactly how you should be thinking when you're into doing this stuff before we get directly into the tactics of what exactly to do, right? So, first, I want to clear some things up, right? What is SEO? SEO stands for search engine optimization. If you haven't figured that out already, like I mentioned, SEO is a digital marketing strategy used to manipulate your website's appearance on search results in order to increase the quality and quantity of website traffic. Right? As a marketer, it's your job to understand what people are searching for, how they're searching for it, and what they expect to see, right? So if you understand these things, then you're going to be extremely successful at search engine optimization, right? Having these answers allow you to connect with your target audience to deliver the solutions that they seek. That is the whole point. When you understand this stuff, you know exactly what your target audience wants, and you know exactly how to deliver it to them. That combination right there, as you already know, is a recipe for success when it comes to marketing and sales. Okay, knowing your audience's intent is one side of the coin. Delivering it in a way search engines can discover and understand is the other. This course is going to show you how to do both, right? So knowing your audience and also knowing how to deliver to them is going to be key in your success, right? Just like anything else as far as marketing goes, knowing your audience and knowing how to package that value to deliver it to them is going to be what sets you apart from the rest of your competitors. Okay. So, organic search engine basics. Search engines regularly scan billions pieces of content. Search engines scour every single website and web page that is in existence and scan the content that are on these pages. They then take those pages and they index them and they evaluate it, based on thousands of factors to determine what's most likely to answer your question. This is what we call crawling and indexing. So crawling is when they scan everything, right? Then indexing is when they evaluate your content to determine, how useful it is to a given user if they were to search for these particular keywords that you have optimized for, right? So those are the two out of the three main components of what search engines do. The last thing that they do is they rank your website. But first they crawl it and then they evaluate it by indexing it into their database. That way they can understand exactly how they're going to organize all the websites into certain queries, right? Like I said, then they rank these pages in order based on how well it matched the query. This is what we call ranking. We're going to talk about this later. We're going to talk about ranking and ranking factors and all that other good stuff. That way you have everything that you need as far as, knowing what to do with your website in order for it to rank for these important keywords that you want, right? So those are the three key sources of search engines. They crawl by scanning all the pieces of content that are on the internet. They then index this content into a database for further review, and then they evaluate your content by ranking it in order based on these different ranking factors that have come about, throughout the years of Google being, alive. And like I said, the overall goal of doing all these three things is to show the end user the very best search results for a given keyword or a given query. Okay. Organic search is anything on the search results pages that doesn't involve paid advertising. This is easily noticeable by determining which links don't have an ad icon next to it, right? So again, in this example, I'm going to search, let's say, barber shop, Atlanta, Georgia. Spelled Atlanta wrong there, but Google's smart enough to figure it out for me. Right, so that's probably not a good one because I'm not seeing ads for this. What was the last one that I typed in? Plumber, right? Did plumber last time. Plumber in Atlanta, Georgia, right? So here, an organic search result is any link that doesn't have an ad next to it. As you can see here, this has an ad. This is for Google AdWords. And this right here, again, is another sponsored post. This is an advertisement. You can tell by, seeing that it says sponsored right up here, right? And so the interesting fact is that most people do not click on ads from Google. So let's ask Google, how many people click on paid search link versus organic, right? So as you can see, this is a fact from HubSpot, who is a very, very reputable source. Nearly 80% of users ignore paid ads and search results. People tend to prefer organic links more than paid ones. And of the links search users do click, about 70% are organic. So that's why you see it's so important for you to understand search engine optimization, because most people click on organic ads. Nobody clicks on, paid links. Because it's inauthentic. People want to see the realness. They want to see organic search results. So that's why it's important for us to go about it this way. And so everything that's under this ad here is organic. These Google My Business listings, they're organic. These links below it, they're organic. So that's how you can tell the difference between a paid versus an organic search link is, just by seeing whether or not it says sponsored or whether or not it says ad right next to it. Okay, so moving on, right? All right. So the importance of SEO, if you haven't figured it out already, SEO is all that. It's what's popping. It's what's going to, get you the traffic and the leads that you want for the lowest amount possible invested. That's why it's so powerful, and that's why it's so amazing, and that's why I'm so passionate about teaching it to people, because if you can understand this right here for your business, it's going to change everything. So like I said, the importance of SEO is really all about the fact that you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a lot of leads and to get a lot of sales. That's big. Imagine not having to spend money to make money like you do with ads, where most of the leads that you get require no upfront costs to get to the front page exposure you desire, right? So imagine not having to pay any money to Facebook, to Google, whatever, just to get on the front page. Imagine just optimizing your website in a smart way that allows them to crawl, index, and rank your content, because you've organized it so well and you've set it up in a way that makes it really easy for search engines to rank it for, right? Everyone uses Google as the first thing to find when they need something, right? So everyone uses that. As soon as you need something, you Google it first. You may go to Amazon first, which is still a search engine, but at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're really, searching for it. The moment you get on the internet, you're searching for these things. So it's really important for you to understand that how you structure your website based on what Google wants is going to allow you to get more traffic to your website overall, right? It's been proven, like I just showed you before, it's been proven that out of all U.S. searchers, only 2.8% of people click on paid advertisements, right? I know HubSpot said like 18 or something like that, but when we're talking about U.S., not global, when we're talking about the U.S. specifically, 2.8% of people click on paid advertisements. My suggestion is to most clients is to stop the bleeding with paid advertisements, start investing more into organic search engine optimization. That way, your dollar goes a lot longer and it's more of a long-term solution rather than having to pay to play every single time, right? So stop wasting your money, focus on building long-term solutions start focusing on building real long-term solutions to your marketing challenges. Everybody has marketing challenges. A lot of people's marketing challenges is obscurity. Nobody knows that they exist. So, setting up an ad is a quick way to relieve that obscurity. But, in the long term, you're going to have to keep shelling out money in order to keep playing that game. So, focus on SEO. That way your long-term solutions are extremely cost efficient and you can still rely upon it to, run your business successfully. SEO is one of the only digital marketing channels done correctly that pay dividends over time. Traffic snowballs when you properly optimize, compared to ads, which needs continuous funding to send traffic to your website. Like I just said, it pays dividends over time. You can do, these quick little fixes this month, and that's going to pay for itself over the next 12 months, because what you do is going to drive more traffic, more leads, more sales to your website. That way, all of the money that you're getting from this is pocketed, because you have no outer expenses except, for maybe somebody to manage your website, and maybe you already manage your own website, so you don't even need that. But it pays dividends over time simply because there is zero money paid out to Google to get on the first page. That's the most important part. Okay. So stay independent or sign to a label. This is the biggest question, artists have in general. Do they want to sign with a big agency to help, market their product? Or do they want to stay independent and, focus on, doing things themselves? And same thing with SEO. A lot of people ask me, should I do SEO myself, or should I hire an agency or, somebody to do it for me? And obviously you can do it both ways. If you don't feel like learning and doing all this stuff yourself, you're busy running a business, of course, I would say it's more efficient for you to hire an independent contractor or hire an agency to take care of all of this stuff for you. But the choice whether you should do it or hire professionals always depends on your personal situation. If you truly don't have the time to learn and execute because you're running the business, then it's best to hire a consultant, independent contractor, or an agency. However, keep in mind that this will vary greatly in quality. Not everybody nice just because they got a nice ticket next to their name. Not everybody can drive the results that you're looking for them to drive. So, of course, keep that in mind. Same thing with signing to a label. You don't know what they're going to do for you in the end. You don't know if they'll be able to market your music correctly. So you should definitely be more cautious when you're taking this route, right? If you do have the time to learn, though, I typically recommend doing this yourself. This is not something that takes hours and hours and hours for you to do. These are, really just like a couple hours a day, 2-3 hours a day that you can spend, doing something that promotes the quality of your SEO on your site, right? Whether it's writing a blog, whether it's writing new content, whether it's improving the speed, maybe it's changing the design around so it's more user friendly. These small little things can be done a couple hours a day, and you can still get a great amount of success doing it, right? So if you have the time to learn and practice, then I recommend doing this yourself. Although there will be some upfront costs you pay, especially if you don't have the skills necessary. Like I said, if you're not a developer and you don't know code and you want to improve the technical end of your website, like the speed and the performance and the mobile usability, then you will have to hire a developer. Okay. Again, if you're a terrible writer and you don't really know how to make content, then you should probably have someone create that content for you. You should probably have someone create, the words on your website for you, create the blogs, create the main service pages, create the home page, create the about page. Just hire people to do this for you. That way you don't have to expend any kind of energy and skills that you don't really have, right? So how much does all of this cost, right? People always ask me, how much does it cost if I don't have the skills myself? Listen, for someone to improve the speed on your website, you can just go to upwork.com and hire a performance developer, and they literally will charge you probably like $200 to make your website mad fast. Like, they're really good at what they do. So, these upfront costs that you pay will, like I said, pay dividends over time, because you take care of this one time, and you can bet that Google's going to recognize this, and they may choose to show you more often depending on what other ranking factors that you qualify for, right? So that's really obviously the answer to that is it depends. But if you have the time to study and practice, go ahead and do it yourself. Get that knowledge in, get your elbows in the mud. You will thank yourself later, 6 months from now, that you did. If you don't have the time, hire me, hire an independent contractor, hire an agency. That way they can handle this for you. But make sure you know what questions to ask, and make sure you know what results you expect to see. That way your time or your money isn't being wasted. Okay. So moving on, basic principles of SEO. I'm going to break these down real quickly for you. So if you remember last time, I gave you the soup analogy, right? The bowl was your technical SEO. The soup was your content, was your on-page SEO, and then the seasoning and the spice was your backlinks. How many websites link back to your website, right? And these basic principles are pretty much wrapped around what I showed you there the other day, right? So first basic principle of SEO: content is king. Create content based on answering what people are searching for. So you can easily look at what people are searching for by doing some keyword research, which we'll go over in the next section. But, a really simple way of doing it is, let's say you're a candy shop, all right? Or let's say you're a local candy shop, right? And you sell candy, for example, right? And you want to be able to answer people's questions about candy on your website, right? So by typing in how much candy right into the search bar, you can see that Google automatically pulled up all the questions that people ask about candy often, right? So are they all relevant to a candy shop? Maybe, maybe not. You got to be able to decipher context as well, because Google can only, show you what you've already searched so far. So I typed in how much candy. There's a lot of questions you can ask about candy. I don't know. But the first one comes up is, how much candy to evolve nose pass? I think that's a Pokemon question. So like I said, you got to be able to decipher this information properly. Again, I think they're talking about rare candy here because I used to play Pokemon. So to evolve Magneton, these are Pokemon questions. So, but right after that, how much candy is too much? Like I said before, you can find out what people are asking for relevant to your business or your product just by simply searching, for these terms in there. So let's go back to the plumber analogy. Let's say how much plumbers make, how much is plumbers tape, how much plumbers cost, how much plumbers putty to use, how much plumbers charge per hour, et cetera, et cetera. So now you have a basis for understanding what questions people are searching for, and you can use these questions if you're a plumber on your website, to talk in detail about, the answers to each of these questions if it's relevant enough, right? So you can say how many plumbers, and you get all the relevant questions that people are asking about plumbers in the area, right? And so you'll keep doing this process over and over again, just to really understand what questions are people searching, right? The other way you can do this is by using a keyword research tool, which is 10 times more efficient than going straight through Google, as you can see, because there needs to be some context to what you're searching for. In this case, Google is just giving me a list of things that people ask about relevant to what I've already put here in the search bar. But this question itself can go in many different directions, whether relevant to what you serve as far as your product or service. Okay, but we're going to go through keyword research in another section here. But I just want to kind of give you some insight as to how you can see what questions people are asking for the given search term that you put in there. Okay. Next is build a positive reputation with Google and other search engines by having other websites talk about you. Like I said before, when you're building a website or when you're trying to get into Google's club with your website, Google has 10 VIP slots that they're willing to give to the most popular websites, or the most talked about websites, we should say, right? And so in order for you to build a positive reputation with Google, you have to be able to get other websites to talk about you. And you do this firstly by making sure that you have these business listings filled out for your website. You're going to hear me repeat myself a lot during this course, but that's really what it's all about, is making sure you have these business listings. So, one of the main business listings that you want to have is Google My Business, right? That's the main listing out right now that you want to make sure that you have access to. Okay. And this is in Spanish because I'm in Puerto Rico right now. So let me translate that to English. But, this is a business listing, and you want to make sure that your website has this listing set up for it, right? Because like when I type in plumbers, like I'll show you again before, I start getting these listing results, right? And this is what you want too. This is a part of SEO. So I'm just going to click on this for fun and show you what a backlink looks like. So when you set up these listings, as long as your profile listing has your website's link on there, this is a backlink. This is one website linking back to atlantisplumbing.com. And you want to repeat that process over again for all local business listings, local business citations. I don't care if it's Yelp, Angie's List, Yext, whatever it is. You want to make sure that you have as many business listings filled out. That way you can increase your reputation with Google as far as how many websites are talking about you. Hopefully you start to get the picture of what I'm saying now as far as backlinks go. The other way you get backlinks is just by reaching out to blogs, publications, and asking them to maybe, do a review about your business or, whatever the case is. So that's like going to people like, Atlanta AGC, main news publications in your local area that can possibly run a story about you. But the easiest way to do this, if you don't have the capacity to do that, is to fill out all of your local business listings. Okay. All right. So next one up, move this out of the way a little bit. All right. So yeah, that's one way. That's another basic principle. Backlinks, like I discussed before. The next one is put yourself in your user's shoes and consider the type of experience they want to have with your website. This is something that's easily overlooked. There are a lot of bad websites out there, and this is sad because people really need to get to these services that they need. And so if you have a website that has a poor experience, then most people are just going to bounce off and go to your competitor that has a nicer website. And it's just the truth of the matter. So if you have one of those old, 2000s websites and it's all blocky and the content's all shoved into one space and there's not a lot of imagery involved, then, you're putting yourself at risk to be taken over by a competitor who looks better, especially if you have a local business, right? So this looks like this. Let's search security camera installation in Atlanta. All right, like I said before, my other example, if you're somebody who has a security camera business, like installations and stuff, then you can get on the first page of Google just by having a decent website, right? So look at these guys. This is a basic website. They're on the third organic rank, right? And this is not even the best website that I've seen, but they have the basics down, which is why I'm saying you need to focus on the basics, because just by covering the basics, you can definitely get a lot of traffic to your website, depending on how competitive, your product or service is, locally or nationally. So these guys are what? Third. So as soon as somebody needs a security camera installation in Atlanta, they're going to see Yelp, they're going to see Home Advisor, which are the basic review sites. But if you're just trying to get straight to the meat, which a lot of users are, they're going to go to an actual company that's listed. And so that's Ramsey's, as it looks like, right? So they have security camera installation, ATL, Atlanta, Georgia. This is another aspect of keyword optimization, where they have, these keywords sprinkled out throughout their website. That way people can find it. Okay, so they have all this stuff. They have, CCTV and video surveillance, Atlanta, Georgia. Again, they're putting keywords inside of their headings, which is another SEO tactic that's done on the page. And so when you see stuff like this, you have to understand, what people are looking for overall. They're looking to get more information about what it is that you do, right? So here's where they go in depth about, all the things that they do, their experience, etc., and so on. And they also have a contact form here on the right hand side immediately ready for you to enter, because they understand their users and they understand that people want to get to them as soon as possible. People don't want to have to scroll all the way to the bottom of the page to be able to contact you. They want to be able to contact you as soon as they land on the page. So that's why you see stuff like this, like the clickable phone number here on the side and things like that. They understand their users and the information that their users want, and so they provide it there immediately, even if that information is just a phone number to call. Okay, like I said before, this is not the perfect website. I've seen a lot better websites, but these guys have covered the basics in order to allow them to be successful on search engines. And I'm sure they get a lot of traffic and a lot of phone calls every day because they're in the third spot, and people are what do you say? They're looking for quick results, so they're often going to the first few people that they can find on Google search without doing extensive research, right? People want it fast, so they're going to the first thing that they see. Okay. Next is see your website from Google's eyes. Understand how crawl bots judge your website. This is going to be another section, but there are SEO tools that you can use that will do the crawling for you of your website and give you, feedback based on things that you can improve upon. SEMrush is one of the best SEO tools out there on the market right now. I use that every day, and it's essentially a tool that allows you to crawl your website, and they crawl it the same way Google would, and they point out some things that you can improve upon, some things that are alarming, and some things that you should be aware of. So being able to see your website from Google's eyes is extremely important, but there are tools out there for that. You don't need that knowledge. It's called SEMrush. Check it out. Okay. And lastly, follow the rules. Follow the rules. There's following search engine guidelines, and there's manipulating the algorithm from which these guidelines exist. The Google algorithm overall is artificially intelligent. It continues to get better. If you break these rules, they will eventually ban your website from search altogether. So there's these things that crafty people do when they learn about SEO, and they think they can skirt the system by buying bad links and all this other kind of crazy stuff. And I can tell you for sure, if you're not following the rules, they will eventually find you, and they will penalize your website either by removing you or reducing your ranking, or removing you from Google search altogether. So keep that in mind. Those are the basics. All right. Things to avoid. I put this in here for its own slide because it's really important. Participating in link schemes or link farms. Don't ever buy links. If anybody offers to you to buy links from them, don't ever do it. Especially if it's coming from low quality websites. You want to make sure that you're buying from reputable websites only. Making sure that you're getting backlinks from reputable websites only. Typically, you do not have to pay directly for links. There are situations out there where you can pay somebody to look for backlinks for you, but exchanging a link for money is typically not a good idea to do. Okay, so long story short, back in the early 2000s, Google wanted to figure out how to determine which website to show in search results, right? Of course, one of the ways they came up with was to determine how many other websites were talking about you, right? This is, how the idea of backlinking came to be, was that Google knew that if other websites are talking about you, you're likely a reputable website that delivers high quality information, right? Makes sense. Somebody else is doing it, then they're probably going to do it too, okay? That's what we call backlink, or having your website placed on another website. Sort of like a referral, but people abuse this. They started creating link farms and websites that just, had a bunch of links on them, and that linked back to other websites. And that really caused an issue with quality as far as what websites they were showing on search. Okay. But in 2012, they shut this down with this Panda update, meaning that they really hit hard on these people that were buying links. And so it really is no longer a viable strategy. And at the end of the day, it will get you penalized. So that's just one of the things that you want to look out for. Okay. Some other things you want to look out for. You don't have to pay too much attention to this right now, because based on the guidelines that I already gave you, you won't come across this sort of thing typically. Okay, so automatically generated content, web pages with relatively no content at all on them. Buying links, like I said, it can lead to de-indexing. You don't want slow loading websites. URLs with random letters and numbers. You want to use keywords. So this is what a URL is. If you're not already familiar with this, I can show you this real quickly. Let's see here. Let's click on that. So this is a URL. Take notice to how this website has a really clean URL. It's keyword friendly. It's short. It doesn't include a bunch of random numbers and letters. It's very well defined and it's concise. And that's what essentially you're looking for from a URL, just to make sure that it's friendly. When people see it, they want to click on it. It's not a bunch of jumbled up letters and words that are automatically generated. Okay. And then duplicate content. You never, ever want to use copy paste content from another website. Think of it like college. It's still plagiarism in Google's eyes. The moment they recognize it, they're not going to show your content because they know that it comes from another place. And so you just want to avoid doing it. It's lazy work. Just build unique content and you will be fine. And then the last thing is keyword stuffing. Don't overly use keywords on your web page. I have a rule of thumb: for every 100, 150 words, I'll put a keyword in there that I want Google to scan and to recognize. But you don't want to overdo this because, like I said, it's an artificially intelligent system. It knows when you're trying to manipulate it. And so if they start seeing these overly used words over and over again, they're going to know you're trying to cheat the system, and they're not going to give you any benefit for doing this. So keep that in mind. Sprinkle it. It's like pepper. You don't want it to be, the whole thing, but you just want to make sure you have enough to where they can taste it. Okay. All right. Next is understanding intent, right? This is still marketing, so we got to understand our users' intent and what they want and where they're trying to go and how we can, help them get there, right? So instead of using trickery, focus on developing websites with user intent in mind. When somebody searches for something, they have a desired outcome. I don't care what it is. It could be an answer to a question. It could be to get to a local bar. It could be for Drake tickets. It could be for whatever. When they search, they have an intent in mind. They're trying to get somewhere, and your job is to understand what intent that they have and how you can deliver that solution. So as an SEO, it's your job to meet people where they are at and provide solutions effectively. Here are the common user types that people are often under when they're searching on Google. They have a research intent where they're trying to get more information. Like, for example, how many points did LeBron score Game 7 of the 2016 finals? That's something that's something specific that they're looking for, a piece of information. And so when you're creating content, you want to make sure that you're answering questions that inform people, based on the research that you've done. Okay, the second user type is direct. That's somebody searching for a specific brand or website. Like if you go into Google and you type in Nike, that's a direct search. They're looking for something specific, specific brand, specific website, and they're typing it directly into search. Right. And then the last intent is the purchase intent. That's when people are searching for something to buy. People could be searching for, cocoa butter near me, or, puppies for sale. And in any case, they're using these types of keywords because they're ready to make a purchase. And so those are really the three user types that you want to keep in mind when you're optimizing your content: is the research, the direct, and the purchase intent. Understanding, these intents allow you to create your content based on where you're trying to meet people. And of course, depending on what part of the funnel that they're in, you create content for that. So if they're at the top of the funnel, they're doing more research. They're looking for more information. So that's where you spend more time describing what it is that you do, the product that you offer, the service that you offer, and build that page out based on the questions that people ask about that type of service. That way you're fulfilling the researcher's intent which allows them to move further down the funnel and into the purchase intent where they're ready to buy or they're searching to buy, right? And of course, if you have an e-commerce brand, you want to make sure that you're well set up for the purchase intent as well, of course, through your product pages, okay? And so, like I said, understanding these intents allow you to create your content based on what people are looking for. Okay. And the next is knowing your website's goals. If you want traffic to your website, you got to understand what you want people to do when they get to your website. Are they downloading something? Are they putting an email address? Are they calling you for more information? Or are they on the website to just learn more about a particular topic? What are the goals overall for this website? It goes without saying that the number one reason why websites fail to drive organic traffic is because most websites don't have clearly defined goals and don't effectively understand their users. So you get on the website, they're throwing this random information at you that you don't care about, that has nothing to do with your problem. And there's no clear way to navigate through the website. There's no click to call button. There's no contact form. There's no clear way to purchase something. It's just things are all over the place. So oftentimes people leave these websites in search of a better website that understands them a little bit better and can guide them through the process of completing their mission. Okay. If you found a website that was hard to navigate before, then you know exactly what I mean. You likely just bounced off and went off to the competitor because that website was way too confusing to deal with. It would load it slowly. Things were all over the place. The content wasn't really relevant to what I was looking for. So I don't have time to deal with a website like that. I'm somebody who has a short attention span, and I need things quickly. And so if you're not there to deliver it for me, then I'm just going to move on to something else. Okay. Is it sales that you want from your website? Is it downloads, email signups, form submissions, phone calls? Identify these goals and structure your website in a way where these goals can be met easily if someone were to land on that website for the first time. Okay? And that's what user experience is all about. All right, so that's the end of this section. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next one on how search engines work. Okay? Peace.